Hey guys, it is Michelle. So I'm doing a wine with me video. This wine with me story time, however you want to call it. I call it wine with me because we're sipping wine. So hopefully you have your wine. If not, please pause this video. Go grab yourself a glass of vino, rum and coke, whatever. Some kind of beverage, and let's come back. I'll wait. Oh, here's Desi. Want to say hello, Des? Come on, say hi. Say hi. Hello. She's been napping all day, so you shouldn't be cranky. Anyway, as you can tell from the title, oh, goodbye. She decided to leave. That this is about the massive snowstorm that we recently had here. So, we were stuck in the house for about 2.5 days. So let me get started. So we were predicted originally to get about 6 inches of snow. Not a huge deal. Typical. Next, and this was a week before the storm. So the closer we got to said storm, the higher the accumulations were coming. A couple days later, 12 to 18, I'm like, a little painful. But it you know, it's still doable, technically here. We've dealt with that kind of thing before. I don't like it, but have dealt with it. By 2 days prior to this storm, 30 plus inches. Now that is crazy. Now, don't get me wrong, we've had storms like this before, but not for a few years. We had one, didn't come close. I would say that one was about 20-something inches. That was a few years ago. About 4 years ago. And that was pretty bad. The last time I remember a storm to this caliber, I was a child. I had to be about 8 years old. Remembering something like this with the huge amounts of snow. There's still no place to really put it around here. They're taking dump trucks and putting in dump trucks. I'm sure they're just dumping it in lakes or whatever. I don't know. Maybe not, because like if there's salt in there, I'm assuming that would definitely affect the pH of things, and that would hurt animals. So I don't know what they're doing, but I know they're taking in dump trucks and stuff like that to get rid of it. And it'll be a week tomorrow that we had the storm. We're still dealing with the cleanup. So the day of the storm comes, everybody's like scared. Everybody at work's like, well, I'm not sure if I'm going to make it or not. And I told them, because of the vehicle I drive, I'm like, listen, I drive a car. The rest of them all have like trucks or some big SUV. I was like, listen, I have a car. It barely made in the last storm, which was about 16 inches in total. So I will try my best, but if it's as bad as they're saying, I'm not going to make it. I'm being honest with you here. You know, I let them know ahead of time. So anyway, the day before the storm, they're closing down the majority of our towns. My mother's place shut down. Joe's work shut down. Almost every school district within 3 counties closed down. And a lot of them were closing down the next day. So I was like, oh, great. My job actually ended up closing. Nobody went into work. They actually closed us down early that morning. So that was good. So we didn't have to worry about, thankfully, anybody being out on the roads, because it was bad. So as you've seen from the videos, there was a lot of snow. They ended up closing down post offices and stuff like that. Like the mail stopped too. So we had our wood stove going. We went out to do some shoveling, but we have a very long driveway, as you've seen in my outfit of the day videos. So we didn't get very far. Plus, my father has a plow, and he was going to come and plow us out later. So it's basically a whiteout. I couldn't see across my road, the road I live on. I couldn't see across what was on the other side. It was that bad. My father works with the plows and stuff like that, and they were going off the road and stuff like that. It was that bad that these huge plow trucks couldn't keep up with the snow, because it was about 2 to 4 inches, I think, an hour, something along those lines. So they couldn't keep up. And it was pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. So, that being said, when did we give up shoveling? We started around noon. We gave up around 7. This is going in and out of the house, in between taking breaks, getting something hot to drink, stuff like that. Now we're realizing it's going to be almost impossible to get out if we can't, to get to work next day. So we're trying to figure that out. Figure out the plow situation and this, that, and the other thing. And that night, the night of the storm, we did see a plow truck across the way from us. We saw their lights. And so we tried flagging them down so that they could try to help us get out. But they had been doing it all day. They didn't have any interest in helping us out. And don't think we were asking them for free. We did offer them money. We had cash. We were like, please help us get out. Help plow us out. Because we had to literally jump through the snow to get to them in the first place, which was crazy. So now the next morning comes, and I'm due to go into work, and there's no way I can get the car out. There's no way. So I told my boss, listen, I'm still digging out, but I don't know when I'll be here. My dad's supposed to come down, help us get out, but I'm stuck. We're stuck in the house. So we tried shoveling, but again, a long driveway. Call my mom. She's like, yes, your father will be down in about an hour. I'm like, all right, that's cool. That's cool. An hour turns into about 3.5 at this point. And my work day is pretty much over. It's done. So I'm like, I call. Everything all right? Everybody okay? The plow broke. My father had to go and get a part for it. I'm like, okay. All right. I was like, well, I'm going to tell my job that I can't make it in because I had maybe 2 hours left to work and the plow broke and there's no way I'm getting this vehicle out. There's no way. I was kind of like, I don't know if any of you remember, there was Frosty the Snowman. There was a cartoon. Not the first one. I think it's the second where I think John Goodman voices Frosty. And it's the Winter Carnival. It came out in the 90s. It's the Winter Carnival. And the Winter Carnival is in jeopardy because they invented this spray for snow. And you spray it on the snow and it literally disappears. If you remember that cartoon, let me know. And I'm thinking about this cartoon. I'm like, man, that snow spray right about now would be awesome at this point. I mean, I've heard they've had sprays or something like that, like for ice and stuff like that. But I mean, like that actual spray where it literally sprayed something and it just disappeared. Didn't melt or nothing. It just disappeared like a magic trick, like poof, gone. That's what I was dreaming of. So, told my boss, couldn't make it. There's no way. We're snowed in. And at this point, I'm not going to lie to you, I was feeling cabin fever. I've never felt trapped before. But it was getting to me at this point. So I'm standing out there with our shovels. We're trying our best to get as much shoveled as we possibly can. And I'm almost in tears because it's like I've never felt so helpless before in a situation because I can't, I can't get us out at this point. But, it is what it is. And a lot of people were snowed in for days. There's quite a few of us that were stuck for a few days. So, next morning, I had to be in work around the same time. And I told her, listen, I know, I'm sorry. It's like I'm still working on it. And at this point, I called her at 6 in the morning. I gave myself about 2 hours? 2-3 hours to try to get, to get us out. Still digging. At this point, we a little less than half out. Which isn't bad considering we were just doing this with shovels. That's not horrible considering the amount of snow. So then, the part that my dad ordered finally showed up because they didn't have it there that day. They had to get it from another store and have it sent to the place. So my dad went to go pick it up. And he's heading to town, in the same town that I work in. So I call, I'm like, listen, any any luck, because at this rate, we're going to be in here for another 2 days if we don't, get this plow soon. And keep in mind, the entire time, we are trying to get hold of other plows. We've made a few phone calls, but a lot of them were so busy they couldn't get to us. Oh. Tried calling friends that I knew that had plows. Looking in the phone book, Facebook, to find plows. And they were all so busy. I mean, everybody was like, if you had a plow truck in the area during that time, you made bank. So, that being said, my father's like, well, I need to go to town to pick up the part. If you guys need to go to town, let me know. I'm like, oh, thank God. I was like, can you drop me off at work? I'll figure a way home. Just get me to work. Yeah, I'll drop you off at work. One of the girls graciously gave me a ride back home. So that was awesome. So made it to work. Thank God. And again, one of the other girls actually didn't make it in that third day either, because she was still plowed, snowed in. And she lives out in the boonies. Oh my gosh. Like, the area that she lives in is kind of like Deliverance. Like, I think that's where they filmed it. I know it sounds horrible, but it's like out in the middle of nowhere. You're outnumbered by squirrels and acorns. It's, God forbid you need an ambulance. You're kind of in trouble out in that way. And that, with this storm being as bad as it was, that's what we were worried about. I was like, well, what about people who, need an ambulance? This is going to be really horrible, and it's going to be very hard for ambulances to get to people in this situation. So I ended up being able to get to work, and my dad got the part. By the time I got home, the driveway was cleared enough where the cars can come in and out. Thank God. But it was crazy. I don't know, like, I know some of you live in wintry areas like Alaska. I know some of you live in Canada. I don't know the amounts of snow those places get, but if you have ever been like trapped in your house because of the crazy amounts of snow you guys have, holy cow. I've never been like that before. It was weird. It was crazy. And like I said, it wasn't like for a lack of motivation or lack of trying to get out. We tried. But it was just so crazy how much snow we had. So now we're coming up with a better game plan for next time. I mean, they called it the storm. It was like a record-breaking storm. I don't remember the name of it. But anyway, it was like a crazy storm, obviously. If you've seen pictures on my Instagram, you've seen my car or what little bit you could see of the vehicle. And it's not much. Yeah, it's not much. My poor little girl. And then one picture I think was Joe's car as well. I posted there was 2 cars. You couldn't see them, but they were there. And it was just crazy. Like, absolutely crazy. And yeah, it was just nuts. But it is what it is. And our Malibu was like, you couldn't see the cars. They just looked like little bumps there. My one neighbor's car, you still can't see it. Like, they dug out one of the cars, but they just gave up. They're elderly people, so they really had no interest in taking the car out. So, and I understand that. That's, we helped them as much as we could. We offered to help them with the second car, but they're like, no, we're just leave it. We got one. So it was pretty insane. I don't like winter, as you guys know. I prefer summer. Summer is my time of year. And this particular winter definitely was like, we had 70 degrees like a week earlier. And then this. It's like, wow, Mother Nature, what's going on here, girl? So, yeah, it was definitely, I'm thankful that we have a wood stove. We didn't lose power, which was good because some areas ended up losing electricity. So we got lucky that we didn't lose power. I'm thankful for that. I'm also thankful that we did have the wood stove. I thought we were going to lose power because the lights flickered briefly halfway through the storm. And I took out, I don't have storm candles, but as you guys know, I have prayer candles, which kind of are the same thing. They're very tall candles. If you've been to churches and stuff like that, you know what I'm talking. They're tall, skinny candles, and they work great for storms. So I pulled all those out on the odd chance that we were going to need them, because I'd rather have them out than not, I pulled those out. We had the wood stove going, and I was like, listen, if I can't you know, because I was going to defrost some chicken and stuff like that, which we ended up eating the chicken anyway. But I was like, if we lose power, you know, I had cans of soup and stuff like that. I always like having a few cans of like Campbell's soups. I like bringing them to work, especially if I'm not feeling good and like groggy and stuff. Just, you know, like you're getting sick. I love having there's something about Campbell's chicken noodle soup for like if you have to go to work when you're not feeling well. It just kind of like a common thing. I think maybe because like you have it as a kid, and it's like a quick thing to make at work. You know, you can just microwave them and stuff like that. So if I am running late and I can't make my lunch or something like that, I always have like a can or two of those because you never know. Plus, some of them, like the cream of mushrooms and stuff, you can always, I like making chicken with them and stuff like that. Like you use those marinades. So, so that was plan B. I was like, if we lose power, we'll just make chicken noodle soup on the wood stove. I was like, I have a few potatoes. I like, you know, we'll figure a way. There was one winter when I was a child. I'm not sure if it was that same storm, that really nasty one, but there was a time, no, it wasn't a snowstorm. It was some kind of a hurricane or something like that where a lot of the towns were without power for, some of them were out of power for almost 2 weeks. It was crazy. I remember I was in private school at that point, and a lot of the kids, we were all in like different areas. But the ones that were furthest were probably about an hour from my house. And those ones lived up on a mountain. And they didn't have power for like over a week. It was crazy. It was really crazy. They had to like, you know, they ended up doing it at school and stuff like that. Like showering and stuff like that. Taken in by other family and friends, which is good. But that storm, we had lost power in it personally for I think 2 or 3 days. My parents had wood stoves. They've always had wood stoves since I was little. I can't really remember a time where there wasn't wood stoves around. It's the area a lot of people do have them. You know, they're really good to have. Honestly, once you get used to that kind of heat, and it's something about the ambiance of a wood stove, like when you're all curled up, especially like during Christmas time and the trees up, it's just a very, like, it's like the perfect feeling, you know what I'm saying? So, but that storm, we were without power for 2 to 3 days. And we ended up having to cook on the stove. We made like baked potatoes on the stove. You just kind of like put them in, you know, you poke little holes in them, and then you just wrap them in aluminum foil and just let them kind of cook in there with the ambers and stuff like that. And Mom cooked soup on top of it. I mean, it takes time when you're cooking on top of it, because it isn't one of the stoves that's created to cook on, but you know, it's possible. It just takes a little bit longer than what you're used to with normal stoves. So we had that, thankfully, in case we needed it. We didn't. But it was crazy. And what I kind of like, again, I hate the winter, I hate the snow, but when you walk outside during a storm or when it's snowing in general, and you can hear the quiet, if that makes sense. Like, I know it sounds weird, but there's this absence of sound. It's really hard to describe it. It's like everything is still. You know, there's no movement, there's no animals, there's nothing. It's just pure quiet, except for maybe the falling snow. It's quite a beautiful thing, even though I hate the wintertime. There's something very soothing about it. I really can't describe it. It's just like the absence of sound. It's really weird, but there's something very soothing. And I will always like, especially once it starts getting darker and like there's no cars or anything coming. There were no cars coming during the storm, but you know, I just stick my head outside and I just listen to, like, it's very peaceful. You know, so that's our little story. Thankfully there was no emergencies, nobody got hurt. You know, nobody was out and about. I mean, my father works in those plows, so he was out and about, but they actually had him staying inside and working on the vehicles, had other guys going out, so I was thankful for that I know that he wasn't out stuck in this mess, and that he was, you know, helping out the guys that were out there. I always feel, I don't want to say I feel bad, but I always worry about the guys in those plow trucks, you know, because they have families too, or the cops, because they're, the one girl I work with, her brother's a cop, and he actually gave out a lot of tickets because it was a state of emergency, so you couldn't be out, and I guess you get a ticket if you're out, something like that. So, I didn't know that. I know now. But, you know, they're out there in the elements too. Their vehicles aren't tanks, so I always worry about these guys that are out there and they're doing their jobs and, you know, they're risking themselves in this, you know, bad weather and stuff like that. So I always, you know, worry for them, even though, you know, I may not know these guys, but they're somebody's family. I'm always like, oh, I hope they get home safe and I hope everybody's okay and stuff like that. I know maybe I'm weird, but I do worry about other people's well-being too, because it's only natural to not want to see anybody get hurt or, you know, into a bad accident or anything like that. At least I'm that way. Maybe I'm weird, but, you know, I don't want to see anybody hurt, or I don't want to see anybody, you know, sad or unhappy. I guess I'm just odd that way. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this wine with me video. I'm going to go and finish my wine, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye.